The president of Bolivia, Luis Arce, held a meeting with several journalists about the failed coup d'etat against his government. The second CELAC social forum began on Thursday in the capital of Honduras, where the delegations from several countries will address the efforts to fight poverty and social justice. And U.S. Democratic President Joe Biden and former Republican President Donald Trump will hold on Thursday the first debate ahead of November contested presidential elections. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The president of Bolivia, Luis Arce, held a meeting with several journalists about the failed coup d'etat against his government. In the statements offered from the Casa Grande del Pueblo, the president made statements related to the failed coup attempt led by the former Army Commander General Juan José Zúñiga. In his speech, he made a detailed review of what happened during the failed coup d'etat, which threatened to destroy democracy in Bolivia. In some moments of his speech, he compared the violence generated during this act with previous actions. He also highlighted the conviction of the members of his cabinet in defense of the democratic process in Bolivia. The press conference concluded with a round of questions from several journalists. And during an exclusive interview for our multi-platform teleSUR, the Bolivian Minister of the Presidency, María Elena Prada, informed that at least 14 citizens were injured as a result of the recent coup attempt.
I want to inform the people of our great homeland about the wounded during this failed coup. Here I have some images. We can see. So far, we have registered 14 wounded from firearms shots. 14 wounded who were in the Murillo Square, walking around, resisting, actually trying to enter to safeguard the life of our president, our democracy. And in that sense, I'm very concerned about what has happened. We were one of the countries that has suffered the highest number of coups, about 40 in our nation's history.
The Minister of the Presidency also gave details about the attempted coup carried out by former Army Commander Juan Zúñiga against President Luis Arce.
Entonces, cuando logra abrir las puertas del Palacio Quemado,
then, when he managed to open the doors of the Palacio Quemado, what happened is that there was our president. I was with him, and he tells me, "Comrade, I'm going to face Zúñiga, and I'm going to do it to avoid a bloodshed, assuming all the consequences." And those are the images that are made public. The vice president went with the president, and I also went with the president, and we went down. When Zúñiga was already entering the presidential palace to later seize the Casa Grande del Pueblo, and our president confronted him directly, the first thing he told him was, the president was holding the baton of comrade delivered to him as president. And he says, "As you Captain General of the Armed Forces, I order you at this moment to demobilize the troops, demobilize the armored vehicles that have in Murillo Square, and comply with our constitution and don't put the Bolivian people at risk."
Also in Bolivia, the government revealed a new arrest of military personnel involved in the attempted coup against the government of President Luis Arce. During a press conference, the Minister of Government Eduardo del Castillo informed that the military group led by Juan José Zúñiga had been planning an insubordination for almost a month. Del Castillo confirmed and presented around 17 implicated people arrested after the criminal acts in the Murillo Square. Meanwhile, the minister urged the Bolivian population to leave aside their differences and fight for the unity of the country. The second CELAC Social Forum began on Thursday in the capital of Honduras, where delegations from several countries will address the efforts to fight poverty and social justice. The event is attended by several former presidents, among other personalities, that will discuss the challenges of regional integration, the role of social movements in the defense of democracy, revolutionary processes, and the fight against coup d'etat, making a special reference to coup attempt against President Luis Arce in Bolivia. According to the program, the plenary session of CELAC Social will be held on the 29th, followed by the working tables, and it is expected that the day will conclude with the presentation of a final declaration.
Let us take into consideration that today, although the left, progressivism and revolution is a strategic project, there is also a dispute between the global north and the global south, and there are coincidences today with countries that cannot be in our America or are not even geographically in the south, but they believe in sovereignty and they do not want to let themselves be dominated. As President Nestor Kirchner would say, by the North, by the West, by the United States, by Europe. And that is where we must make an alliance. Hopefully, one day, the ALBA countries will join the BRICS, and all the strong countries of our America will forge a path with the countries that want to do things differently in our world. And we will remain at the forefront with the collective projects leading those global processes.
The government of Venezuela denounced that the extreme right wing has activated a plan of violence to destabilize the country ahead of the presidential elections to be held on July 28th. President Maduro was visiting the city of Quibor in the state of Lara, from where he pointed out that the Venezuelan fascist right wing has carried out sabotages to the national electric system, besides attacking the Angostura Bridge over the Orinoco River. President Maduro assured that the Venezuelan people will not allow to be robbed of their right to a peaceful future before, during, or after the presidential elections.
I have said it in recent days. They have activated a plan of violence. They are not campaigning. The cowards are preparing the guarimba, electric ward, sabotaging bridges, and many other things. But I tell your surname fetches. If you eat the light, these people will go over you, like the people of Bolivia. We will not allow it.
China reiterated on Thursday its interest to strengthen and boost its bilateral relations with Venezuela. The statement was made by the spokeswoman for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, Mao Ning, in the context of a historic moment between both countries, which are marking their 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations. Mao Ning reaffirmed that Beijing is working for the unwavering development of relations with Caracas from a strategic and long-term perspective. In Cuba, 27 political caricatures paying tribute to the revolutionary commander-in-chief Fidel Castro have been showcased during the first International Biennale of Political Humor that will be held in Havana until Friday. The portraits are compiled in an exhibition called High Fidelity, inaugurated at the headquarters of the Union of Journalists of Cuba. The works belong to the recognized graphic artist dating back to the 1950s, published by different Cuban media outlets. Within the framework of the event, there were debates around the effective communication of caricatures and memes, with the workshop Political Humor and Communication in the 21st Century being held through a video conference with the participation of national and international guests. In Argentina, the second edition of the Cinema and Reflection cycle kicked off on Wednesday with a screening of the Mexican documentary The Train and the Peninsula. The documentary film proposes an immersive journey across the routes of the Maya train project in Yucatan, Mexico. The cycle, framed in the activity celebrating the Environment Month, is part of the Undersecretariat of Culture's initiative to keep the Chubut Cultural Center active by promoting talks, exhibitions and literary discussions. The cycle, that includes the attendance of Joel Hume from the International Patagonia Ecofilm Festival, aims to boost environmental education and to help inform, raise awareness and improve the life quality of the local and international community. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. U.S. Democratic President Joe Biden and former Republican President Donald Trump will hold on Thursday the first debate ahead of November contested presidential elections. The debate, to be held in the city of Atlanta at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, is the first between a sitting president and a former president, as well as the earliest U.S. general election presidential debate in modern history. With less than 5 months before voting day, the stakes are high for the candidates as they try to inspire their supporters and hood the undecided voters. The economy, reproductive health rights, immigration and the January 6 riots are expected to be the hot topics of the debate. Both candidates will meet again in September. In Gaza, Israeli shelling on the Jabalia camp leaves at least 8 dead. Palestinian authorities reported on Wednesday a bombing by the Israeli occupation forces in Jabalia refugee camp in the north of Gaza City, where in addition to the 8 deaths, several people were wounded. Since Israel's attacks began, more than 37,000 Palestinians have been killed and more than 86,000 wounded. In addition, at least 10,000 people are reported missing, presumably under the rubble resulting from the bombings. Palestinian and international organizations claim that most of those killed and injured are women and children. The rescue missions that have been working non-stop in Gaza since October 7, 2023, warned that their work could stop at any moment. In this regard, they alerted in a statement that the fuel is running out, including the reserve, adding that on Thursday they were only able to go to 2 missions due to the lack of fuel. The missions also highlighted the dramatic situation faced by dozens of men, women and children, condemned to a slow, agonizing and painful death if they cannot be extracted from under tons of rubble. It should be also noted that in addition to the scarcity, the rescuers are being increasingly targeted by the artillery of the Israeli army. In Syria, on Wednesday, an Israeli missile struck the south of the capital city of Damascus, claiming at least 2 lives. The Syrian Air Defense Forces managed to shoot down some shells fired from the occupied Golan territory, but the impact of the remaining ones left a military injured and significant material losses in the area. The aggression targeted a center that houses heavy vehicles specialized in the construction and rehabilitation of service installations. Iran has been an ally of the Syrian government in the fight against the Daesh terrorists, some of whom seek refuge in areas under occupation. The United Nations assured that the planet faces alarming rates of violence against children living in countries in conflict. The report prepared by experts of the organism reiterates that the current situation is only comparable to the years of the Second World War. The United Nations Security Council has been convened to analyze the extreme situation in Palestine, Myanmar, Somalia, Nigeria and Sudan, which are the countries with the worst indicators after analyzing the level of suffering of minors in the nation's conflicts. In this sense, the representative of the United Nations Secretary General for Children in Armed Conflicts, Virginia Gamba, said that children have suffered a flagrant disregard from their rights and protections. We have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Dozens of hospitals and medical facilities are damaged or out of service in Sudan after more than 14 months of war. The Sudanese health authorities pointed out that the high levels of violence in the African nation have generated the deterioration of the health system and created difficulties for patients to access timely medical attention and treatment. On the other hand, the United Nations revealed that more than 14,000 people have been killed and 33,000 others have been wounded during the conflict. The international organization does not rule out an increase of these figures as clashes between the warring parties continue. For its part, the United Nations organization denounces both sides of the conflict for using hunger as a weapon of war. Experts affirm that hostilities between armed forces and quick support forces contribute to the aggravation of the food crisis, since, among other effects, they block the arrival and distribution of human rights aid, resulting in the displacement of more than 25 million civilians. The UEFA Euro 2024 group stage came to an end on the final day of Group F with Georgia's shock 2-0 win over Portugal, making it the only group to feature 3 qualifiers in the round of 16. This way, the bracket's next stage is set as the competition divides into 2 groups. Thus, Spain will face Georgia and Germany will play Denmark, while Portugal will take on Slovenia and France will match against Belgium. On the other side, Romania will play the Netherlands, while Austria will face Turkey and England meets Slovakia, with Switzerland measuring against Italy. In this context, the Belgium-France match looks to be the toughest one. Let's see what some of the protagonists have to say about it.
About the Belgian players who said that their team did not fear France. We are not afraid of Belgium either. We are not afraid of anyone. And if they are not afraid of us, good for them. We'll see on Monday. We will do everything we can to win.
Yeah, we go for winning. We go to win. We are here and we qualified for this Euro to be part of these best teams. Now we are part of the best 16 teams. We will face a top team. And this is the reason why we qualified. Otherwise, we could stay at home. So these are the games we are looking for. And
On Thursday, the action continues in the 2024 Copa America being held in the United States, specifically with 2 matches in Group C, where the Uruguayans, who are leading the group, will face Bolivia, while the United States, who won in their debut, will take on their CONCACAF rivals Panama. It should be noted that if Uruguayans wins, it will advance to the quarterfinals, solidifying their candidacy to take home the most coveted trophy in the American continent. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok, where you will find different contents and news like this piece on the statue revealed in France for the upcoming Olympic Games. For teleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.